Welcome to She Achieved Podcast.
Thank
I
you.
am so excited to have you
Thank
here
you.
with me today. I have wanted to interview you for a while now, but I know you're a busy lady. I'm a busy lady. I've had a mile long list of interviewees, but I'm so excited to
Oh,
finally have you here with me and have you tell your story to our listeners because
oh,
I bet a lot of our listeners know you because of your podcast and your activity in the community, but I bet they will still get a couple of new nuggets from hearing
well,
from you today. So welcome.
well, thank you, thank you, thank you. You're right. It's a joy to sit with you, and thank you for the opportunity. I was telling some of my coworkers it's different being on the other side of the table. So I was like, oh, I'm a little nervous, and I thought, oh my gosh. But I'm excited. I hope I can add value to your listeners, and hope I can say something that will just encourage and inspire them to go a little bit further.
Exactly. Well, I think that's why we both do what we do, even though our podcasts are unique and
Mm-hmm.
different from each other, they're also similar because I
Yes.
think our core
Yes.
and our motives are in a very similar
Mm-hmm.
place as far as that.
Yes,
So I think it
definitely.
will. I think it will. Well, for those listeners that do not know you and
Okay.
are just now getting to know you a little bit,
Okay.
tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, as you said, I'm Katina O'Neal. I'm originally from South Mississippi. I moved to the North Mississippi area in my seventh grade year of school, junior high, which was traumatic for me because I left all my friends and my mom remarried and we moved to North Mississippi. So I have lived in Starkville. I'm a bulldog, go dogs. And so I met my husband on a blind date. We've been married. We celebrating 30 years next year, and so we have three children, two grands. And I work in revenue cycle billing. I've done that for a long time, over 25, 30 years. Um, I just love. I work out a lot. Everybody that knows me know I love to work out. I am a cycle instructor, and I have my own podcast, as you mentioned, Motivate with KO. And I also a John Maxwell speaker, coach, and trainer. So that's what I love to do. Cardiology kind of pays the bills, helps pay the bills, and I do enjoy that. But doing motivational speaking, encouraging people, and exercising are just my niche that I love to do. I just love to do that.
Why do you think you love it? Like, what is it that drives it? You're right. We have to have jobs to pay the
Yes,
bills,
we have
but the
to.
additional things that you are connected to the community, which is through the exercise, through
Mm-hmm.
the podcast, and through John Maxwell
Mm-hmm.
speaking engagements, like what fills your soul to continue doing that?
I love whenever I'm doing exercise, I love to see the people that come into a class or get with me that has felt like something was impossible, like they couldn't do it, and then they see that they've done it. I love to push them beyond their limits. I mean, if I even have to get in their face and say, yeah, you got it, or give me 10 more, I enjoy seeing them do something that they did not think that they could do. That just encourages me so much. And I realize the importance of it. Mississippi, we have heart disease, number one killer in America, especially in Mississippi. I just did not want to be another statistic. And unfortunately, I end up being one. I worked so hard trying to make sure that I wasn't. I end up having diagnosed with hypertension a couple of years ago, which rocked my world because I was like, I'm doing all these things, but it was hereditary. So, and thank goodness that I had already had things in place. I had plans in place. I was working on it. So that motivates me more, just exercising, making sure I eat clean, eat right, stay positive, drink my water, do all those things that make me happy.
It's a mindset. I
Oh,
feel like you're
definitely.
definitely a mindset coach too, because I think all of your experiences translate into that. But when we speak from experience, it truly is life changing,
Yes.
and that's what drives you, and that's so
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. I love
Yes.
that.
Yes.
So, how did you get into John Maxwell and public speaking? And then I want to dig a little deeper about your podcast too. Like,
Okay.
how did all of that
Okay.
transpire?
Well, I got into John Maxwell. It was just it was a God thing. I have always been I've always been one to talk. My mom used to tell me you should have been an attorney because you can talk to anybody. I just have always loved to talk to the point where my mom said, "You talk too much. You need to be quiet." So I'm just like, oh. But I didn't realize that what I love to do that I could get paid to do it because that's how much I loved it. I wasn't thinking about there was merit increase with it. I just thought everybody needs to be encouraged. Everybody needs to be motivated. Everybody needs to a push, an extra nudge. So why not? I was part of Transformation Tupelo, and it's still in existence a couple of years ago. And so did not realize that that was part of the John Maxwell team, that was part of the John Maxwell product. And I just was invited to this meeting and got involved and didn't realize that I was at the right place at the right time. You know, when you just know when you're supposed to be, where you're supposed to be, I was just there. And the doors just opened. They just fell open. And I've been a team member now since 21, and I love it. I absolutely
Amazing.
love it.
Oh,
22, excuse me, 22, since
that's
April of
awesome.
22. So I love it. And but in 2017, I had an experience. You asked me, how did I get there? How did I get into public speaking? In 2017 was a very tragic year for me. It was my best friend died. My mother-in-law passed away. My nephew got killed by a hit on his bicycle by a hit and run person. I have a church friend that committed suicide. It was just a lot. 2017 was a lot. And I went from, I'll never forget it, Labor Day weekend, when my friend passed, my best friend, her husband asked me to speak at her funeral. And I was like, I don't do that. I can't do that. And he said, I just feel like this is what Denise would have wanted. And I was like, well, when he said that, what do you say? So I got up there and I prayed about it. I did it and I spoke. And I cannot tell you, when I got up, I was not nervous. I mean, I was a little nervous, but once I got up and started opening my mouth and went and just really flowed and just went and said and spoke, I mean, after the fact, now I did break down and cry because it was over and done. I had all that adrenaline had built up. But so many people came and said, do you do this for a living? I was like, no. I mean, like, this is my first time I've ever done it. So my first ever speaking engagement was speaking at my best friend's funeral. So I feel if I can do that, I can do anything. And so that's how I became a speaker. I just try to speak from my heart, and I try to speak with conviction, and I try to speak where people can relate, because there's something I think in all of us that someone can relate to. So that's how I got into the John Maxwell speaking, and just kind of went from there. Speaking is my niche. You know, I do training and coaching, but speaking is just I think that's my strong point.
What are your favorite topics to speak on? Like, what are your favorite things?
I love health and wellness because I do work out, and I love to talk about that. And I love to speak to single young women because I was a young mother, a young unwed mother, and so I always try to encourage them to give them hope that it's not the end of the road. You know, that because so many women think, oh, I've gotten a child out of wedlock. That's the end of. No, it's not. There's so much more you can do, and everything. Your dreams are still there. You can still dream. You can still do those things. You just need someone just to push you. So those are. I love to talk to young women, young single women and mothers, and then anyone that just needs to be motivated. Health and wellness is what I do because I know as an African American woman, so many of us, especially in the South, are overweight. We don't eat right. We don't take care of ourselves, and so I just want to know, okay, you can eat good. People always say it's too expensive to do this, but I'm like, it's expensive to buy medicine also. So, what do you want to do? Buy the medication or buy the groceries? Your choice. So I do try to do that. And I make it personal. I always use my experience to let them know, had I not been as healthy as I was when I found out I had hypertension, I probably would have had a stroke. And so, it's important that we take care of ourselves.
Absolutely. And I see you as an advocate. You're right, especially being an African American
Hmm.
woman, the statistics are
Oh, they're
against
through the
you
roof. Yes.
twofold.
Yeah.
And just from that one demographic stat,
Hmm.
right? And I think in some areas you're also brave to talk about it, being
Mhm.
the ambassador, the advocate, the face, because that opens doors.
Mhm.
There's a lot of misconceptions.
Mhm.
There's education is not as available to those who need it.
Mhm.
There's so many factors that go into that, but a lot of it is also mindset. How do
Right.
you reconfigure that mindset to think about it a little bit differently? And you will connect with those who look like you a lot
Mhm.
easier than someone who is not in
Right.
the community,
Right.
doesn't look like you, has had a different life. So I think that's so brave to share
Mhm.
that because we forget that so
Oh
much.
yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
easy to want to connect, but a lot of times it's what's in here and our
Yeah.
connection because
Yes.
of our experiences and who we are,
Yes.
being able to help others who are, I don't want to say not as fortunate because I don't know your complete story,
Right.
but you can connect on a different level that
Right.
connects the two.
Because I didn't grow up with, as people would say, with a silver plate. I grew up, my mom was a single mom. And so I just knew, but one thing I did know, she loved us. She worked hard and she was always so positive. And that was just driven in us. You'd see the good in everybody. She would always say, there is something good in everybody. And and that has stuck with me for all these 50 years. That has stuck with me. There is good in everybody. And so we just have to pull that good out and let people know that there's good in them. Because so many people are beat down. They don't think that they deserve the things that they want, or am I equipped to do this? Am I qualified to do this? Can I really do this? They have these big dreams, but they don't have anyone to encourage them. And so that is just, I really think that is my purpose in being here, is to just push people and to motivate them. I mean, you can do anything you put your mind to, but you've got to change your mindset. You've got to say, how bad do I want it? And if you want it bad enough, what are you willing to do to get there?
I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm of the same thought process as you on that as well. But let me ask you this. How do you motivate yourself on those difficult days?
Ooh, girl.
Where
girl.
you don't where no motivation is gonna do
Yes.
anything. I know what that means for me, but I think I just want to be real for a moment
Yes.
because a lot of times I know for me to give advice, it's a lot easier for
Yes,
you.
it
I could
is.
give you advice all
It
day long,
is.
but to take that advice that I'm giving you and pour it on myself is a whole different game. So talk to us about that.
That's when discipline kicks in. That's when discipline kicks in, because I can motivate you out. Just like this morning, I was extremely exhausted. Did not want to. I'm a morning person when it comes to working out. I did not want to work out. I was just like, oh, I played pickleball last night late. And so I was exhausted. It was hot. And I was like, I just really don't want to get up. But I'm so disciplined. I know, I'm thinking, well, I've got a busy afternoon. I've got several things to do after work. If I don't do it now, I won't do it. And then I have a circle of friends. That to me is so important, being connected to the right people. My network of friends, we all work out. So that makes it easy. We're all Christian ladies. We all like to have fun. We all, we cut up and, we just encourage each other. And sometimes she'll send a text and say, you up and moving? I'm like, girl, I mean, because some days it's hard. Like this morning, it was hard. I didn't go to the gym. I just walked in my neighborhood, but I got up and I got moving and I did something for myself. And so I think that is what helps me, is that I know I need this. And my goal, people always say, what's your goal? Why do you work out so hard? So that I can live a longer life. I have grandkids that I want to play with. I don't want to always, I mean, I hope I can get off medication one day, but if I don't, guess what? I'm doing all the steps it takes to make sure that I stay healthy. And that's what's important to me, because I'm just going to, it's real hard sometimes, because I'll be like, ooh, girl. But then that's when I have to say, okay, Tina, let's go. Come on, get it together. I have to push. And then some days I don't do it. Some days I'm just not feeling it. And I don't feel bad about it, because I do it so much. It's a lifestyle that I just don't. Okay, I'll pick up tomorrow.
Well, we have to have rest days.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
I'm an avid fitness person too. And so I do, exercise at least 5 to 6 days out of the week. So I can completely relate. But it took a decade to get there.
Yeah.
I want people and listeners to know that the determination, there's different levels of how you allow it to become part of your hobby. I'm a morning person too, by the way. I get my fitness in. But what I have found is that it's part of your routine. And as busy as we are, it is difficult to get it after hours, and you're tired and you make excuses and you don't want to get on that treadmill, or you don't want to lift those weights, and you don't want to go to the gym. And I'm glad you share that, because it takes time, but then discipline does kick in because of your
discipline
goals.
has to kick in.
And then honestly, if you go ahead and do it and talk your mind always is going to try to protect itself.
If you just get up.
Fight or flight, right?
Yes.
If you just get up, honestly, I tell people all the time, the hardest part is getting up.
Yeah, if you just get
After you get up, whatever, I'm already up, let's do this.
Yeah, I mean, if you're on and a lot of people, if you're out there listening, if you're on your phone strolling, that's time you could have gotten up and gotten ready.
Exactly.
Put that phone down, get up, just go ahead and just get up. I mean, I'm bad to lay there and be like, oh, okay, let me get up. And then I think, I got to go. Because my gym people that I work out with, they'll text me, hey, where were you at today? I missed you today. And I love that accountability. And so I think having the right people helps me too. And then I want to be an example for my children. I want to be example for my grandchildren. I want to be example for my neighbor, the person that I work in a cardiology clinic, and I see the people that come in, and they're, sometimes just like today, I saw a young person come in, and I thought, wow, why is he here? He's so young, and my heart just kind of, I was like, I said that young. And I just thought, and I was just like, thank you, Lord, that I'm able that I have a mindset, not judging him, but I was just thinking, I work in a cardiovascular clinic, so most of the patients we see are older, so when you see someone that's in their young, mid-20s, younger, you think, whoa, what's going on? But it just helps me to keep pushing, keep being the best version of myself that I can be, because that could be my child, or that could be my niece or my nephew. So I have to remember that too. I have to remember that too.
So, what about your podcast? Talk to us a little bit how that
Oh
transition.
my
It
gosh.
oozes out of you, the storytelling, the connection. I love it. So, I want to
my
know
my
how that happened.
podcast is so, it is, during COVID, I got interviewed by my aunt, who she has her own show. She has a radio show and a podcast, and I have a radio show and a podcast as well. And it was on a Christian network, and she asked me to talk about health and wellness. She talks more from a Christian standpoint. Most of the things that she talks about are from a Christian standpoint. But she asked me to be on her show to talk health and wellness, because she knows how much I love to work out. And I was like, hey, Pam, I was like, I don't talk proper now. I don't always pronounce my words correctly. And she's like, girl, that's okay. Be yourself. And because I always thought she's so prim and proper. Here I am. I'm just kind of laid back. I just kind of go with the flow. And she said, people want you to be real. People don't want scripted. They want realness. That's, people relate better to that. I was like, well, okay. So we interviewed. Interview went well. She emailed me, or she called me, and she said, "You're not going to believe this." She said it was the best podcast I have ever had, and I was like, "What?" She said her numbers were through the roof. I was like, "Oh wow!" I was congratulating her. She said, "You should do this." I said, "No, no." And she's like, "Yeah, Tina." And I was like, "I just don't know." And then she's like, "Well, think about it." She said, "Well, I'll pay for everything for you for the first 3 months." And I was like, "Okay, let me think about it." So I thought about it, and I talked to my family about it. My husband's like, as much as you love to talk, you don't want to do that. I mean, and it just happened. And so on my radio show, on the radio station, it is a Christian station. And most of the things that they talk about are from a Christian standpoint. But then there's some things that are not. But there was not a lane for health and wellness. So it just blew up. I mean, I've had over 20,000 downloads. I'm just like, wow. And so I just love to talk. I normally I record in the fall and in the early spring. Then I take the summer off, because I don't want to do it every week. I want to still be able to enjoy. So I only record 6 months out of the year.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, to give me time to recharge and revisit some things, and just get interviews lined up for the next season, and just dream big. Because I have a list of people that I want to interview, and I don't know how I'm gonna interview them. I just put it out there.
That's
So
right. You got to have goals.
yeah.
And you
So
got
if
to
you
put them
listen to
on the
Magic
list.
Johnson, he's gonna be one of the ones I'm interviewing. Magic Johnson is. So I don't know how that's gonna happen, but I'm gonna interview him one day, and I'm excited about it. One day. Yeah.
One day.
Got to dream big.
You do. My list is so long, and that's just here in Northeast Mississippi. But that is kind of cool how you
Yeah.
have a list of individuals
Oh yes.
that you want to interview and talk and do. And you're right. You have, I feel like, cornered in a special segment. And health is huge. I believe in it. Sometimes you feel like a broken record.
Mhm.
And I don't think it has to be like crammed down people's throats. It can be
Yes.
fun and motivating and
Yes.
encouraging.
Yes.
When you're starting out and you're not sure what to do, when you're trying to find, and it is very difficult
Yes.
to retrain your brain to think a different way. Like for me, I personally am struggling with the food aspect,
Gosh,
trying
that's
to eat right and
80%
the
of
protein.
them.
And
Yes.
it is like you cannot
Gosh.
out exercise a bad
You
diet. I'm the
cannot.
example of that.
You
And
well, amen. I'm with you,
and then when
sister.
you have hereditary genes against
Yes.
you, there's nothing you can do. You can control what you can control, but you can't change your genes. So you have to
cannot.
move with it. And that's discouraging sometimes, because
very
you're doing everything
discouraging.
you can,
Right.
but then your body's still
Yeah.
not necessarily against you. It's just the odds are a little bit,
Yeah,
against you. So you have to
and
try
you have
a
to
little
work.
harder.
You do have to work harder, and and you have to use that. And I
Mhm.
always tell people, when people say, "Well, how do you do it? What can I start out doing?" I said, "Well, just walk. Just
right.
walk. It does not cost you anything. You can walk anywhere. You can walk in your house. You can walk around your neighborhood. You can walk in in the mall. You can walk at a track. There's tons of places. Just walk. Just move your body. Just take one little step at a time, it'll add up eventually.
I agree. You're absolutely right.
Hmm.
As simple as that, as simple as that sounds, it's so difficult to do at
It is.
times.
It is.
But that is truly the first step.
Yep.
How do you think the various points of your journey has prepared you to where you are today? Looking back and thinking about everything and how you got to where you are today.
I think it was like I mentioned earlier, having someone like my mom to always tell me to see the goodness in everybody, to see something, that there was always something good in everybody. I think that has helped me because I've always tried to leave people in a way that I want to be left. I always, whenever I'm with someone, I always want them to leave my presence feeling like I added value to them, feeling like I gave them something. Like if I go to the bank, I want to go to the bank to make a transaction. I want them to feel like they made a good transaction, like there was a good connection, something happened there. And so when they leave me, I want them to leave my presence knowing, yeah, thank you. I mean, who wants to leave someone's presence when, ooh, she's something else, or she talked too much. Oh my, no, or feeling bad. I don't want that. I always want to leave them feeling inspired. I want to leave them with something to think about. And I think because of the way I was grown, that's just something that's just always been in me. Even when I teach indoor cycling, I always, at the end of my last song of my class, I give them they say I preach, but I don't. I just give them a word. And I want them to want that word to something that they can just kind of chew on for a while, and hopefully when they see me again, they'll say, you remember when? And I get that a lot. Not to toot my own horn, but to let me know I'm on the right track. That's what I need to be doing, and to stay in that lane. So I recognize that's the lane that I'm in, and that lane works for me, and so I just try to stay there.
I can't help but to think you're so positive,
Girl, I
but
can
I
be
know.
girl, girl. I try to be positive most of the time, but there are times when I break. I mean, I'm just being real. There are times when I
Mhm.
just feel like I can't do this. This
So
is
what do you
too
do?
much.
What do you do during those times, or can you think about a particularly challenging
Yes,
time?
yes, I can. Last November, my husband was diagnosed with cancer, and it came out the blue. We was like, whoa, just a preventive visit. Did not have any symptoms, was not sick, just a preventive visit. And we found out we have a tumor on his kidney, the half size of his kidney. And it turned out it was cancer. And I was like, all from a preventive visit. And prevention does help, by the way. If you're listening, please get your preventive visits. They do help. And I was like, whoa, it pulled the rug from under me. I felt like my faith was tested. It was a lot. It was a lot. But my husband was just like, okay, this is a diagnosis. It doesn't mean who we are. This is a diagnosis. They're subject to change, first of all. And we just go with the flow. He's positive too, so that kind of helps too.
I was gonna
Well,
say,
honey, he's super positive.
man, to be by man,
Man, and I'm over there. I mean, sis, I'm just like, oh, Mario, oh my God, what are we gonna do? Like, what in the world? And he was like, we're gonna get through this. And I mean, like, I was literally shocked. So that was very, very hard to see him go through that. But and the doctor said, he said, a tumor, a mass this big, when we find it, it is normally in the stomach, in the bladder, everywhere. He said, you had no symptoms. He said, no, man, no problems, no nothing. And so it was like, even though we went through that, we give God praise. We went through that. It was it was still challenging. And some days it was very hard to be encouraging and be positive. And, and again, that's when I would call my friend girls, and I would go in the bathroom and I would just cry because I was like, this is hard. How do I deal with this? How do I go through this? She said, you go through this the same way you always go through stuff. She said, you put your feet down, hold your chest up, hold your head up, and you just go through it. She said, it's okay to cry. Go ahead and cry, get it all out, but we're gonna get through this. And thank goodness he didn't have to have any chemo and radiation, but he did get sick twice. He got hospitalized after that from effects from the surgery. So those were a little bit challenging. And so those were really challenging, those two unexpected hospital stays after the surgery. And so, but that was hard, seeing, because your husband's your strong man, he got your back, and now you're having to sit there and you're having to be the strong one. And people always say, you're so encouraging, you're so motivating. It gets hard for me too. But I have to remember who I am and whose I am, and the assignment that's on our life, that we can't just break because the enemy's coming. We have to continue to, just and people think it's scripted, but it's just the way it is. I get tired. I want to quit and I want to give up, but I can't. That was hard. That was tough, but we made it. And I still have times when I get discouraged and I want to quit and I want to give up, because there's some times when I'm like, oh my God, the scale, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I work out hard. I do this and I do that. And then I have to say, you know what? It's okay. It's okay. That scale doesn't determine who I am. I work out. I try to do right. I try to eat good. I try to mind my business, drink my water, and stay positive, all those things. And so,
Well, it's a decision.
oh, yes.
The weight is on the decision. You choose not to allow it to impact who you are.
Mhm.
You said that beautifully, because that circumstances, the Bible talks about that.
Mhm.
Our circumstances do
Mhm.
not determine
That's right.
who we are.
That's right.
And we cannot allow them to impact us. And so, yeah, I think that's beautiful. It's very hard to practice. It's much
Yeah.
easier said than done.
Well, and
Absolutely.
it really, but one thing that my husband has said when he was going through this, he said, you have to remember, I was diagnosed with cancer. I don't have cancer. He said, because once you have something, you take possession of it. And so we have to remember, so a diagnosis and taking possession is two different things. Yes, I was diagnosed with it. I'm not saying I don't have it. I was diagnosed with it, but I don't own it. I don't want it. It's not mine. I just was diagnosed with it, and diagnoses are subject to change. And that's why I look at it with hypertension, with whatever we're going through in life. You don't let it take ownership of you. You don't let it control you, because once you take ownership of it, it's yours. You've claimed and you've done and you've gone and doing whatever you want to do with it. Like right now, so I'm having a side place.
And you allow it to you allow it to grow.
Yeah, you
So
do. Yeah.
when you own it, you
Yes.
allow it to grow,
Yes.
and it's like watering a plant. You take it on,
Yes.
or a child or a pet, whatever. Once you own it, you
It's
kind of hang
yours.
on to it. It's yours.
Exactly. It is. Yes.
I agree. So you've already mentioned this a couple of times, your network of friends.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about what building relationships and networking has meant on your journey.
Oh, girl, it means everything. I don't know what I would do if I didn't have that circle of friends. I don't. I mean, I'll just give you an example. My friend Andrea, and I'm sure she's listening to this. It's me and her, and then it was our other friend that passed, Denise. We was like the Three Musketeers. And they would always call me, because they were white, and of course I'm dark complected, and they always call me Inside Oreo, or something like that. But we were so connected. And so having friends like them in your life, and now my circle has expanded a little bit more, has helped me to realize the importance of having the right people in your circle, because there are going to be times when you want to quit. There are going to be times when you don't see the value even in yourself. I mean, there are times I would call her, I would text her, I said, I'm having a moment. She said, well, what is it? Or she'll call me and she'll text me back, or because I feel like sometimes it's hard for me. Like, I want to quit, I want to give up. And she's like, no. So having the right people in my life has helped me, because, they if I give them an idea, if I give my friend, like I told her, I remember when I wanted to do cycling, become a cycle instructor, I kind of just tossed it around a little bit, and I said, what do you think about that? And I just knew she was going to say, because she's not a big cardio girl. She loves to lift weights and stuff. And she said, I just knew she would say, girl, what you want to do that for? Why you want to do that? And she said, I think you should do it. And I was like, she's like, you love to talk and you love to dance and you love good music and you love to cycle. Why not? And so I did. And gosh, 6-7 years later, I'm still cycling, So having people that see something in you that you don't necessarily see in yourself helps a lot.
What you're talking about outside of friendship, that's also mentorship.
It is.
And sponsorship. It's people taking the initiative when they see something in you that you don't see, and that's the motivational, inspiring thing to get you to your next level, because we all have those moments of doubt.
I am blessed with good mentors. I am so blessed.
What advice would you give to our listener who maybe doesn't have that maybe yearns for that? and doesn't have those types of friendships as you do, what advice would you give them?
I would say, first of all, pray and ask God to send you someone. And they may be already there. You just don't realize that they're there. A lot of times our blessings are right in front of us in our face and we don't realize they're there. But I would definitely say pray and ask God to send you that person or those people that you need in your life. And don't be, they may not look the way we think they should look.
Thank you.
It may be the janitor at the McDonald's. It may be the CEO at the plant that comes in and buys coffee from you. They may not look like you think they should, but you will know. You will know that this is someone that I need to learn from, lean in, and let them coach you. Because there are people out there for everyone. Like I said, I'm blessed with good coaches, mentors, and I was very peculiar about people that I want to mentor me because I really wanted them to challenge me, but I also wanted them to love me, pray for me, but push me as well. And just kind of speak to me, just tell me, okay, you can do this, push, give me that push. Because sometimes I'm good at doing that for everybody else. I can encourage you and I can cheer you on from here to Memphis. I'd be like, come on, girl, you got this, come on. But sometimes when it's me, I'm just like, ooh, can I really do this? But then my mentors, my friends, they're like, why can't you? You can remember who in you and whose you are. So let's go. And one of my friends, she'll chop it up. Let's go. You ain't got all day. Let's go. Come on. You got to get moving. You got stuff to do. People need you. And so that helps me. But I think if they just be prayerful and don't be surprised at who it will be, because they may not look like what you think they'll look like.
I love that. So you said something very interesting. You said you picked your mentors.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me a little bit about that.
Well, I say I picked.
I've never heard anybody say that that.
Well, I kind of did pick them because I was just like.
So you consider your friendships, your friends, your mentors?
No, not my friends. My friends, well, they sort of like my mentors, but I have these 3 people that are really specifically, they are my mentors. One, I'll just go ahead and his name is Corey Lee. He's a business owner here in the city. He's also a John Maxwell coach, speaker, and trainer, his own business. Then I have a friend named Carl Shepard. He is a speaker, coach, and trainer as well with John Maxwell. And then I have a lady named Rhonda Sage. She is my prayer partner. She's just that person that I just go to a lot. And I have another friend named Cheryl Wheeler. So I try to keep I give them ideas and ask them what they think about it, and they just, sometimes we sit and we brainstorm, and Carl is my coach. I have a personal coach. He is my coach. And so he helps me when I have ideas with business that I think I want to do, or what do you think about this? And he will pull out of me, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And so these are people that I prayed about them, and I picked them. And I asked them would they mentor me, and they say yeah. They challenge me and they encourage me, and so I think everybody needs that.
Absolutely. I think what you said is so significant because sometimes you do have to pick them. Mm-hmm. People who are typically mentors, unless they're in close proximity, mm-hmm. they just are not going to pluck you out and say, I want to mentor you. A mm-hmm. lot of times it's the initiative for the mentee to say yes. and reach out and take action yes. And allow that individual. You really do pick them mm-hmm. because there's something you see in them mm-hmm. that can help you get to the next level that mm-hmm. you need, or you see something that you aspire to be, mm-hmm. right? There are some qualities that you're mm-hmm. after that you're like, these people can help me, or this individual can help mm-hmm. me get to where I'm striving to get to. Interestingly enough, 2 of your 3 are males.
Yes.
And so this is a female podcast, nothing against our gentlemen.
That's
I have male mentors yes. too. One thing that I always share with people is that you should have mentors of every gender, yes. every background, yes. because they bring a lot to the table. That's a unique perspective. Mm-hmm. What has that been like for you to have gentlemen as your mentors, and how it has been unique from having maybe a female, or Are there other, I'm sure there's other females you look up to, but I'm
Right.
just curious to unpack that a little bit.
Well, it's actually, well, since we knew each other beforehand, it's not a, they're like, well, let me just use this as my friend Carl, who's my mentor. He's also my friend. He's my brother. Well, I always tell him he's my brother. He's very, and he always tells me, well, you encourage me, and I'm like, no, but you really make me like. We keep the line. I don't have a problem. We don't. We neither one of us have a problem with the level of respect. Is very high for each other, and so we have always kept that way, and it will always be that way. But he really challenges me. And he makes me think. He makes me dig deep in myself. Make me really think about what it is I'm trying to accomplish and how am I going to make it. What are my steps? And so it hasn't been. It's actually been really good because I don't think a lot of women sometimes will go under the surface, and he just really, like, you can do this, come on. And so it's not been a problem. It's actually been really good. We meet about once every 2 to 3 months and go over plans and how to execute them and what am I going to do to get there. And I enjoy that. And then my friend Rhonda, she's just, I just like having different mentors for different areas, business, personal, spiritual. And so that helps me because those are areas that I need a spiritual training coach. So I always try to make sure I have those lines open. You know what I'm saying?
I do. And that's the first time I've heard that.
Mhm.
I've never even thought about it that
Mhm.
way, but those are the three areas that
Mhm.
you really need to be fed
Spirit,
in. And it
spirit,
doesn't
soul, and
mean,
body.
yeah, it doesn't mean it has to
Yeah.
be the same
Mhm.
individual. For me, I've never even thought about it that
Yeah.
way, but you
I love it.
need that.
Yes.
And you need a mentor in all areas to
Mhm.
continue growing in all three because you are all three. You're
Yes.
not just one.
Yes. And like my friend Andrea, she works out. She's very adamant. I look up to her so much with her eating. Her nutrition is on point. I'm just like, oh my gosh, she eats. I always tell her I'm gonna be like you when I grow up. And so even though I've never told her she's like a mentor, but I really do admire that in her. I admire her commitment and her discipline in that area. And so I lean and I look up to that and I pull from that. So that helps me. And then, my friend Rhonda who constantly, she's praying. We pray every week together. We have 4:30 a.m. prayer. We get up and we pray together and we really encourage each other and push each other to be better. Then my friend Carl, and then my friend um, Corey, who's a businessman. I see the things he's doing, so it helps me to be the. I think those are areas that I think I have to get covered in my life. Those areas are important to me, and so why not have someone who's already paving the way? Why not lean in with them, people you trust that they don't have an agenda. Their only agenda is to help you be the best version of yourself. So
I love that very much. Well, a lot of times the people that we jive with, the personalities is outside of gender. I just, for me, I feel like we need to break down the barriers of what that looks like because
yeah.
it looks differently for different individuals, different circumstances, different personalities. There's a reason why certain people come into your life and then they leave. They can be there for a season or they can be there
Yes.
for a lifetime. It's okay.
Yeah,
We don't
it's
talk
okay.
about that. It's okay. What does that look like? Relationships look differently. You already talked about it. You have boundaries, you have lines. That's important. And a lot of individuals don't really have that,
Yeah.
or they don't think about it, or they're just, going through life unintentionally.
And that comes from that just didn't happen. That comes through ups and downs in relationships, falling outs. I'm just being real. That just didn't happen. That came through life that we all go through. That came through life. And so having to learn to navigate that and realizing, okay, these are things that are important to me. And so since they're important to me, I want to put them a priority. Yep.
How have you managed your personal life with your professional life? Like you have so many things going on now, and I'm sure you always have, and with children and grandchildren, like how do you prioritize and are able to do it all?
I have to remember my why. I have to remember why. Like this season's been a little different with my husband being sick. So some things have had to go on the back burner. And that's okay. Again, it's life. But it doesn't stop what needs to be done. I have to remember why I do what I do. And then my family helps me. Like my husband encourages me, and my children encourage me. And they believe in me, and they will cheer me on. And I just feel like, oh my God. Sometimes it's over. It's almost to see your family cheer you on and believe in you. It hits a little different. Because you want them to be an example for you. You want to be an example for them. But when they encourage you and motivate you, it's just something, it's just different. When they believe in you and they know that you can do good, like if no one else believe in me, knowing that my children, my husband believe in me, gives me all the joy I need sometimes. And they're saying, Mama, you can do it, you've got this. And I'm just like, okay, that helps me. So having them helps me a lot. But it is challenging because I have to, I work long days. I work on my podcast, and I have to work, I'm, doing the John Maxwell, trying to develop my own business. Then working a full-time job, being a mother. So I have to really make sure my time is spent wisely. I have to make sure I really consider my time and make sure it's spent wisely. And when I have, and rest. A lot of women don't know how to rest, but I'm learning that.
We all are.
I'm learning.
I feel like we all
I
are.
am learning. Oh my gosh, I
Rest
am learning.
is,
Some things can just wait. Some things can just wait. And as women, you're like, oh, it can't, but it can.
Can. That's right.
Yep.
Until something happens to where it makes you
I want to get up and say, let
that's
me
right,
get this
or
together.
forces you to wait
Yes,
with no other
yes,
options.
yes.
That's when you kind of learn a little quicker.
Yeah.
So you have mentioned this. So you are trying to build a business. You have a job. You have all of these other responsibilities with your family and other things you're a part of. What advice would you give um, to a lady who is either established and looking to pivot, or maybe is wanting to do her own business but doesn't know how and is not sure about doing it? What advice would you give her to motivate her to start taking some action?
Just jump. Steve Harvey said it so good. He said, just jump. I mean, just you don't know what you can or cannot do if you don't just jump. Because if you fall, you can get right back up, and more than likely you will. More than likely you'll hit a wall or two. But if you keep going, and if it's something that you really want to do, and if it's something that a lot of times we think our dreams can't be accomplished, but they can be. I mean, I heard LL Cool J say one time, he said, dreams are not meant to be put on a bookcase. You got to go through them. You got to go through them. You go ahead and do it. If it's something you want to do, just jump, and find people that are already doing it to pattern yourself around. Find the right person that is doing it, a credible person, and just latch up with them. I mean, it's just in our city, it's so many people that are doing great things, and I see them, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, she's doing such good things here, And it just makes, like you, I see you doing so much good in the community. Why not hook up with people that are doing things? And that's what networking is about. Hooking up with people, connecting with people, so that we can make it better for so many other people. And so if you just do it, I mean, do your homework too. Do your homework. Do your homework. Know what you want to do, and don't let anyone tell you different. And don't you tell yourself different. If it's something you want to do, you can do it. You can do it. Just got to do your homework, find someone who's doing it, and just keep doing it. And work at it every day. I haven't done this much, but I used to. Every day I would try to do something towards my business to make it better. If it was nothing but read a book, write down something I need to do, make a phone call. Every day do something towards that business, towards that dream. If you want to go to school, read a couple of pages out of a book. Just do something to keep it fresh on your mind. Keep it fresh so you won't get complacent and put it in the back and feel like you can't do it. And then if it's too far gone, you're like, well, it's too gone. No, it's not. If it's in you, it's going to come back up if it's something you really want to do.
I'm a firm believer that if it was planted on your heart, it won't go away unless you do something about it.
That is so true.
And if it's something that you keep trying to push down and keep down, it's just going to keep rearing that feeling and motion, and you have to do something with it. There's a reason why it was put on you.
Yep.
Katina, how do you measure success? What does it mean to you?
success to me is when I see the fruits of something that I've done. When I see this interview is success for me, that means someone knows me. I've said something that inspired and encouraged someone, or I wouldn't be here. That's success to me. Success to me is being able to do a workout. So many people can't even do that. I mean, paying my bills. I mean, and I'm not trying to be all holy or deep. It's just sometimes we look at success as a big picture, but if we look at the small things, that's what success is. Having a family, being able to go to work every day, just talking to people, talking to the lady downstairs, just being able to leave someone with a smile on their face. That is what success to me looks like. It doesn't look like amount of money, how many houses you've got, how many cars you've got, how many houses you flipped, I've done this. That's all good, but success is to me when you have put a smile on someone's face.
I love that so much. So you've talked about your dreams, but you haven't elaborated. So what are your future dreams and goals and aspirations? What's next?
Travel around the world and no, just kidding. Travel around the world, do all great things, which I do. I do love to
and you
travel.
can hire me to manage all that.
Girl, I sure will.
We'll
honey.
organize you and get you hooked up. We're gonna be everywhere.
Yes,
Logistics
honey.
expert.
One of my dreams is to this year, hopefully, to start writing my first book.
Amazing.
As a young mother, I think I have a lot that I can say. A young single mother, so to write my first book and to just go coast to coast and around the world and to encourage and motivate and inspire people to live a healthy life, spirit, soul, and body. That's what I want to do.
That is so exciting about your book. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And of course, the dreams are phenomenal as well. And I have full faith that you're going to get them. It's a journey. It looks different for everyone.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. I feel like if it's on you and your heart and you're taking action and striding towards that end goal, you don't know what's going to look like, but you will achieve it.
Yeah.
And then when you achieve it, you're going to be like, I prayed about this.
Yeah.
I was striving for this. Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's here.
I really believe that. I believe that. I mean, there's motivational coaches, there's speakers, but I think what I've got to say is going to make a difference. And I just believe doors are open for me to do that. I just believe that. I don't know how, I don't know when, I just believe.
Yeah. Well, you're on a mission.
Yeah.
Right. So like for me, even thinking about this podcast, when you say that, it doesn't matter who approves of who's not.
That's
if it's on your heart for something, and if my why is to help somebody achieve something great a little bit quicker if they wouldn't have had an opportunity to do so, especially for women, because we're in our heads all the time.
Yes.
Honestly, in a nutshell, we're in our heads.
Yes.
We create our own realities, which are really not the real realities, and a lot of times we're our biggest obstacle.
Yes, we are.
And if you can listen to someone else's story, a woman in your community that you see, and get to hear her story and allow that to give you some insight that life is not perfect. It's a journey. There will be obstacles. There will be challenges. But if you take a little bit of that and apply it to your own life on your own journey, because we all have a story. I truly believe that. I think everyone has a story, and we need to give everyone an opportunity to share their story, because somebody's story will have an impact on you, and it will make your life a little bit better.
That is so true.
And so what you're doing speaks to me, because I believe in all that. And I think we're all interconnected anyway. So it's like, why not allow that to impact us?
Yes.
So it's beautiful. Thank you. We have come to the conclusion of our interview. I have one question left. But before I do, I always pause and allow the interviewees to have a moment of reflection. Make sure there was anything that you didn't get to say or add or re-say or do. This is just your opportunity to just share anything else that you'd like to share that we have not covered just yet.
Oh, thank you. First of all, thank you again. Thank you for the opportunity. It was just, like I said, I'm always on the opposite end. So to be on this side of the table, it was a little nerve wracking. But then once I got here and we got to talking, I was like, oh, I'm just talking to my friend girl. We just hanging out, and it's very welcoming. So I do appreciate that. But one thing that I want to leave to the listeners and the viewers is a quote that John Maxwell says. He says, "People will not always."
Hear what you say,
That's right.
but
But they
they'll
will remember how
how
you
you made
left them, how you made them feel.
them feel.
Hmm.
Yep.
And and even if you're listening, I always want to make people feel loved. Everything hangs on love. Love is the foundation. And if you make people feel loved and appreciated, you'll be surprised at what you could do. You could change it. We could change the world. If people just know they were loved. And I think, and that's one thing that I want to do. I want to leave people. If you're listening, just you are loved. You're important. Those dreams and desires that you have, just go get it. Write it. Start writing it down. Don't quit. Don't give up. Keep at it. Because if you keep doing it, the best it's got to be yet to come for you. It's got to come. But you've got to just keep at it. That's just what I want to say. Just keep at it.
If you could tell one thing to your younger self, what advice would you give yourself?
Girl, don't be so scared. Quit listening. One thing, you said one thing, okay. Don't be afraid. I was always afraid because I was a young mother. I was not only a young mother, but I was a Black female. So I always felt that I was beneath everyone else because of the color of my skin and because I was a woman. And in this world, women, we don't get a lot of the privileges that men get. So imagine being a woman and then being a Black woman. I mean, the road has been extra harder simply because of those two barriers. But I always have tried to, I've always had to push harder. And so, yeah, that's kind of what has kept me, because I don't like to be told no. I know. I don't like to be told no. I don't like to be told you're not qualified or you're not it. But I would tell my younger self, don't listen to, if it's something you want to do, just do it. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Katina. This was
Thank
awesome.
you.
So much fun. I
Thank
enjoyed
you.
it so much. Thank you for taking the time to be
I
here.
appreciate it. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to have been here. I hope I said something that could have left your listeners and viewers encouraged and motivated and inspired. That's my goal. If we've done that, we achieve.
That's right. And I believe we have.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.